We've all seen the movie The Matrix. It was interesting and fun on the big screen of the TV, but has it become a bit too real in your own life? Are you seeing glitches in the Matrix and trying to figure out what's happening? Have you been told that you've been tricked and that you need to fight against what they've done to you? The deception. Whether you're just beginning to notice, or if you've been searching for a more peaceful and congruent way to live without battling them, you're in the right place. I'm Ken, and I'll be joined by Eliza and Raina Stella. Let's explore together on the Liberty Ark. We're back to the Liberty Ark Podcast. We're on number 34, and I'm Ken, and I'm here with Eliza and Raina Stella again to talk through a little conversation from a book by some authors, Rebecca and Jonathan Rodrigues, who are friends of ours. The book is called The Great International Heist. So how are you two today? You all wired up for this?
I'm doing really good, ready to go. How are you, Ken? How are you, Eliza?
Doing fantastic here.
Excellent.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, nice. All right, we're going to get right into it and have Eliza do a reading, and then we'll get back and talk through this.
Wonderful. Thank you. Episode 34, The Illusion of Ownership and Control, Social Security Administration. We now enter our discussion of the Social Security system, which necessitates bringing forward last week's discussion of the individual as both substance, men and women, and form, system-created entity. All Social Security cards state, this card belongs to the Social Security Administration, and you must return it if they ask for it, indicating that the individual's identity, represented by the all capital letters name, is owned by the system, not the individual man or woman carrying it. This reflects the broader theme of ownership and control within the system, where the value of individual men and women is externalized and controlled by the state. This theme of ownership extends to various forms of documentation and identification, reinforcing the idea that individuals are merely assets within the system. The system's control over these documents allows it to manage and manipulate individuals' identities and value, maintaining a tight grip on their lives and actions.
So Social Security cards are really a big conversation, and your Social Security number is a big conversation within the kind of sovereignty world. And I think there's a lot of confusion about what's really going on. I mean, the obvious thing is that your name is shared, your actual name is shared by many, many people. So it doesn't really identify you in relationship to other people with the same name, right? So the system has to have a way to identify who you are compared to somebody else. At least that's the theory of why, right? And, while you guys talk a little bit about this, I'm going to pull up AI and just ask, what was done for bank accounts prior to identify who the bank account was for, prior to having Social Security numbers as identifiers? So you guys go ahead and talk for a bit. I'm going to look that up and I'll be back.
So, Eliza, in my thought process, aside of what Ken just mentioned, I mean, it makes sense to have it for like organizing or organization, right? There's so many of us, so it makes sense. Assign a number that's going to help us, be organized. But it ends up being that there's a lot more to that. It's not just for organization. And that's where I think because we were born into it, and really, I mean, that Social Security is for my young adults, I applied for them when they were born. So they don't even get to be a part of the process when it's being applied for. So they get to a certain age, and I pretty much told them, you're going to need this, right? So memorize it if you can, because that number will be asked for in many different places. So we're born into it. I don't think we think anything else of it, right? Except for this is for them to be able to organize wherever we're checking into a medical office, a school, and so forth.
Yeah. And I agree. It's, organizationally, in order to distinguish one John Doe from the other, to participate in commerce, which we all need to do, and even internationally, we need something, right? And it's their number, their person, their entity, where we have a say on how it's utilized. There's something where we have to give permission. So another way we can look at it is, for me,
Sorry, Eliza, we have a say. Is that what you said? We have a say. And I think that's the part that I think we don't know, that we have a say.
Yeah, and this is where I'm going. So it's up to us. My next statement is, it's up to us to become educated on what powers we do have. For instance, do I want to have a driver's license? Do I not? Do I want to have a bank account connected to it? Do I not? And how we utilize it in commerce, most people are not becoming educated so that they can actually interact with it in the way that they want to. It's a 9-digit number identifier connected to the all caps name, because that's how people think it's their name. But then how we go forward to make a choice of how we utilize that to participate in commerce, say, versus another 9-digit number that could be a trust or something like that. We need to become educated to say, how can we utilize this? Because we can't get rid of it once it's created. Mm-hmm. It's their number, their person. We can't write to them and say, cancel me, right? But we can at least step forward into it. And that takes a lot of work and comprehension. Otherwise, most people are very unaware of how it's being utilized, including myself, right? This has been, quite a journey.
So then it really boils down to, like, what role, right? What role does this number play in our lives? Because going back to us being born into it, right? I'm thinking that I was brought up that I can trust everybody and anyone, right? And I need to respect everyone, right? I don't remember ever sitting there thinking, I don't trust that person, or that person's evil, or that corporation is only looking out for themselves. Like, that never crossed my mind as I was growing up, utilizing this number.
Come to my world.
I grew up trusting people. I grew up thinking people are very good people, and there's a lot of good people. There's a lot of evil people, right? And then again, you walk into a business and you really do think that they're there for the customer, right? Like that's what you were. I'm talking about me, of course. Maybe Ken, Eliza, different story for you guys. So what I'm getting at is that we were never built to question because we were born into it. We were never, at least I wasn't taught to question everything. Question whatever's being said to you. Don't trust, certain corporations. Don't trust what is being said by the media or by the government. None of that, right? So I think that also makes it challenging, because this number that is given to us when we're born is something much deeper than just a number to hand when we're getting our driver's license. There's something a lot more that we need to dig into.
Let me bring to you
what I'm hearing.
Go ahead.
Just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we're talking about is not necessarily our trust in individual people, men and women.
Right.
It's our trust of the system.
Right.
So we need to get educated on that, because we used to think two things: trust the system, and there's not something that you don't have a choice, right? The system's a system, and that's where we're going forward to say we need to get educated on this to see where what we can do and where.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Ken, please.
So the word right there, Social Security Administration, works back to what we've already talked about, and that is that from about 1913 to the 30s, things started shifting over, and it really was more in the early 30s, to an administrative state rather than the republic that we had before. So now the legislature really doesn't do much. It's all the administrative agencies that make rules and regulations that aren't laws that were passed by the legislative branch of the government, right? But they control your world because those regulations are perceived as laws. And this Social Security Administration is one of those administrative agencies that began to basically take over and run the republic out, so that the republic was not what it was all about anymore. Now, it makes sense to me that some kind of identifier has to isolate between this person with this name and this person with this name, right? If you're going to have a bank account. So I asked AI, how was that done before 1935, 36, which is when Social Security numbers began to be issued. And it said there's a real historical irony with it. When Social Security numbers were first introduced, many government materials explicitly warned this number is not intended to become a universal identifier. Yet over the years, over the decades, it gradually evolved into exactly that. Before the Social Security numbers, banks identified people, not persons, people, primarily through personal familiarity, signature verification, community references, physical descriptions, and local reputations. Now, the shift towards Social Security number-based identification largely came with taxation systems, computerized records, credit reporting, and federal banking regulations. So as things became more digitized, which, now they want universal digital ID, right? The whole process it's been a transition from substance, real live people, to complete vaporization and dematerialization of the people, replaced by digitized everything. And it's very efficient. It makes your life easier in a lot of ways, but it has a whole lot of risk and potential issues with it.
Yeah, that was excellent. Said a lot.
Okay. You want to go ahead and read this one? This is really interesting here, I think.
Yes. All social security cards state this card belongs to the Social Security Administration, and you must return it if they ask for it, indicating that the individual's identity, represented by the all capital letters name, is owned by the system, not the individual man or woman carrying it.
So the concept within law is that whoever creates it owns it.
Controls it.
Well, owns it. Right? The ownership is in the creator. So when you create a baby, you own that baby. When they create a card and a number and identify a name on it, they own that thing. Now, they've trusted you with it, so you're controlling it, actually, right? You've got it in your hand there. You're controlling it, but you ain't the owner of it. They're the owner of it because they created it. So if they want it back, you got to give it back because they're the owner. Now, they didn't create your baby, but they have found a way to control your baby through creating this identity and convincing you this identity is your baby. So CPS can come in and take your baby even though they don't own it. They own the card with the name of the baby on it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Pretty slippery.
They
no?
own the entity that is listed on the card,
The organization, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
which is that all caps name.
Mm-hmm. And they
number.
legitimately own that, right? If they come, I'm going to hand them the card, right? But if they come and want my baby, I'm going to be really, really clear that they don't have ownership of that baby.
Yeah. And so many people, and that say this type of like a patriot community, etc. There's so much out there, and so many processes people are paying for to get rid of, cancel that this all caps person,
Mm-hmm.
right? A person in this case is a legal entity. You can't do it. It's theirs.
And
you can
yeah,
manage how you want to participate, but you can't get rid of it. It's
that's
theirs.
the point, because you don't want to get rid of it. You couldn't do any business, right?
Right.
You want to utilize it properly and take away the control mechanism that they have on you through it, which they only have because you don't know how the thing actually works. Right? It's a useful tool if used properly, but people tend to, when they start finding out that how this has happened and how that gets control of you, they tend to get angry about it rather than digging down deeper to understand how they can utilize it for their own purposes rather than for the system's purpose.
Mm-hmm. And what we tend to do, and because this is what they were taught to do, is we created through continually utilizing the person in ways that don't necessarily benefit us. We just think they do. We've created a bit of a mess, right?
Yep.
It's not the only 9-digit number under which we can operate in the world, but we are convinced that it is. And so this is, with Liberty Ark Podcast.com / White Rabbit. I'm not just trying to do a plug here, but this is a really, really amazing opportunity to actually get better comprehension of exactly what we're talking about, and that you're not powerless.
Yeah. And you don't have to argue with the system and say, I'm not that name, like a lot of patriots do. You are not that name. As long as you actually understand that, you don't have to battle. It's the people that don't understand how the whole thing works, and that you are just there to sign for that organization that you've taken on the responsibility to manage, right? You have obligations associated with that. But we get convinced that they're going to put us in jail that because we are the name, even though we scream that we're not the name. That battle only comes from not truly knowing on the inside and thinking you have to convince the judge of something that the judge already knows. The judge knows you're not the name, but they have to keep the game going, right? So once you learn how to work with it, the judge already knows it. It's just a matter of how you interact with it and who you are. That was the really, really, really important thing that I got when I first came to White Rabbit, to understand you can do everything peacefully if you truly understand in your own self who you are. There's no reason to be defensive or upset. You just utilize it correctly, doing what you've obligated yourself to do, and they don't have control over you. They do have ownership over that thing, but not over you.
And the fun thing is as we learn how to manage our obligations. Even if we do make mistakes, we're even taught how to manage those. And we're allowed to make mistakes. We're humans. So the number, right? The 9-digit number, we're already using, all of us, right? We're using it to get jobs, to go to school, to go to the doctor, and so forth. And the key thing, I guess, is to make sure that we understand that that number is assigned to us for organizational purposes. We are to use it in the right way. But we have to understand that it is a tool that's used, right, to identify us, but it's not to identify the name, but it is not you.
Right.
That's the clear picture, the clarity that we need to make sure we understand.
Yeah. And you've agreed to be the manager of that organization. So when they send a letter to you, they're sending it to you. They're not going to say these in words, but they're sending it to you as manager of that organization. They can't send it to the organization. The organization is a digit on a screen. It has to have a human, a people, not a person, but a people who can actually sign things and have a voice to speak and so forth to manage
Act on behalf of it. Right. And I like that, as we wrap up here, it reinforces the, can you go to that?
That one?
There. No. That I think you had it. Reinforcing the idea that individuals are merely assets in the system. Individuals, remember, has two sides. It's the form, which is the all caps person, and the substance behind it, which is the men and women. So individuals in their system, okay, both men and women, and then leading to their person, also called an individual, it's all just assets within the system. And we need to comprehend that. So, I mean, it's just to actually feel very empowered.
So they utilize, they require you to utilize this identification on all kinds of documents, which reinforces inside you that you are that thing.
Yeah.
I think by default, that's why we do think that we are that thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of by numerous times that we have to utilize it, never do we think anything different. That is who we are.
The tight grip on our lives and actions.
But it's through our participation. It's through our consent. They're not forcing anybody to do anything. It's through our own consent.
Right.
So I always go back to that same phrase. The Constitution doesn't allow involuntary slavery, but it does allow voluntary slavery. So if you choose, and I use that word loosely because usually you invite yourself into something without the understanding that you have a choice as to how you participate with it. Right? So you're not really making a choice, but there is a choice available, mainly from awareness. Because if you just do it the standard way it's done, you're going right down the slide they want you on. And there's other ways to do it. So the system's control over these documents that we're signing and so forth allow us to manage and manipulate, allows the system to manage and manipulate individuals' identities and value. Now, I see that as individual identities as their entity, their organization, and our value. Because the value's in the substance. The organization doesn't have a particular value, but you do. And they want a grip on your value.
We've spoken about that in previous episodes too, about our energy, our value, right? And that's what they're after.
Yep. And we tend to give it to them without understanding that we've done that.
Well said.
And we do
without understanding that we don't have to.
Right. Well, right? we have to do processes, but we don't have to be the entity. right? So it's all in your own understanding of what's happening. You can do the same exact thing as far as an action goes, and how you understand who you are makes all the difference in the effect of that, even though the actual action did not change. Intent, understanding is an awareness, that word we use all the time, is incredibly important. And you've got to study and have this reinforced in you many, many times to work out the conditioning that the system has done to make you believe you are this thing. And you have to pay the price if this thing does something wrong. So that was good. I hope folks can understand what we're talking about there. It can be a little confusing for folks, and especially if they've done kind of the patriot thing and gotten all mad about the Social Security number, and just don't want to have anything to do with it, instead of understanding and being willing to sit down and say, okay, how have I gotten myself into this mess? Not they did this to me and I'm upset about it. The question always has to turn around and go, how did I do this to myself? Yeah. Now you've got the ability to undo it.
Accountability and responsibility. Right. Once we take that,
yes,
it changes everything.
Yes.
And if we're a little bit repetitive, sometimes a lot repetitive in making a point on something really important, it's because, the rule of, sometimes it's 7 times 7 that you need to hear something for it really to be internalized. Mm-hmm. So if, re-listening, rehearing, just go for it.
Mm-hmm. That's really important because we are so conditioned into the belief systems and the propaganda that we've been given. That's why they don't have to force, because we consent to it, because we're conditioned through propaganda. And boy, it takes a lot of undoing of our own brains and our own thinking in order to get rid of that conditioning so that we can see clearly and then not need to argue and battle, because now you see, you understand what's actually happening, and you can make appropriate choices. All right.
Well said.
Any final words from anybody? Cool. All right. We resolved the world's problems tonight, I guess.
On to the next world.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And thank you, everyone, for hanging with us. We love seeing you and having you here.
If you're starting to kind of capture the concept, you're ahead of most of the world. Really. If you're starting to go, oh my gosh, I kind of think I understand what's going on here, dig deeper, because it's going to be a lot more interesting to you as you dig in deeper. And libertyarkpodcast.com/White Rabbit is a fantastic place to sign up for a free account. You don't have to pay anything. You get a free account. You'll be able to interact with people and teachings, and then decide. There are paid things you can do, but it's free to sign up. You can actually go to online Q&As also that are free to begin to understand, check things out before you decide if it's for you or not. So we invite you to do that.
Those Q&As are awesome. They're amazing.
They're fantastic. They really are. All right. I'm going to hit the stop button, and we will get back together about a week from now.
All right.
Bye. Bye-bye.
The views expressed in this Liberty Ark podcast are for informational and educational purposes only. They do not constitute legal or tax advice, and they may not reflect the official positions of anyone at all, really. We want to express our appreciation to the authors of the unpublished manuscript titled The Great International Heist, on which the Liberty Ark podcast is based. Rebecca and Jonathan Rodrigues, the authors, provide courses that go into much greater depth and are available at libertyarkpodcast.com/White Rabbit.